Hey there, Patriots. Welcome back to the front lines. Death Watch here to give you guys more intel so you can update your personal armory and fight back against the fake news media machine. And today we're going to be discussing the heel versus babyface in pronouns in Starfield controversy, right? I'm going to toss my hat into the ring and openly say that while I do agree with heel versus babyface, I'm going to take a different approach to this type of argument, right? Because the addition to pronouns in a video game, right? What it really is just the normalization of left wing Orwellian newspeak. We talked about this before constantly when it comes to the kind of new definition for women, right? Women is just, under the new intersectional feminist definition, a woman is anybody who feels like they're a woman, right? It's like, no, outside of the terminally online leftist space, a woman is a biological female, right? The only people who are women are people who are biologically that. Okay, that's based directly off your chromosomes. That's directly based off of whether you're born with a uterus or not, a cervix, right, and a female sex organ. Okay, there's clear defining biological scientific proof that defines a woman versus a man, right? This is what majority of people believe in, right? You have Matt Walsh with his documentary, What is a Woman? You go to different countries and ask them this, they all look at you and laugh and say, what is this, a trick question? A woman is clearly this, and a man is clearly that. There's no in between. There's no crossover here, right? You can be a biological male and identify as a woman, but as far as what is a woman, we all know what it is. Okay, we've known that for the very since the existence of human beings, right? You're confused about that? Go look at the animal kingdom. There's clearly a biological difference between a male animal and a female animal, right? It's simple as that, right? Now, when it comes to the ideology of, what this article here from videogame.si.com says, they say that, having pronouns is the right step in representing transgender, non-binary, and gender fluid players, right? Now, I say, sure, when it comes to transgender players, but when it comes to the non-binary and gender fluid, these are, again, that intersectional feminist rhetoric, right? Non-binary and gender fluidity is a concept that was created by feminist theorists, which we have talked about before. Feminist theorists openly say that gender norms, gender roles are all social constructs created by the patriarchy in order to oppress women, right? That's their kind of conspiracy theory that they came up with, right, in the academic fields. The LGBT community then took a step further to say, well, sex, right? Sex is a social construct as well. So therefore, you don't even have to identify as your assigned birth, right? They came up with the concept of assigned birth, right? It's like, no, there's no such thing as an assigned birth. That's just whatever your sex organ. Sorry, that your sex organ is what your sex is based off of, right? That's what your gender is based off of. Okay. Other than that, what you identify as is what you created yourself. That is the social construct, not your gender. Okay. Your gender is defined. It's binary. Okay. Your biology is binary until we can kind of create this science to rewrite the binary. Then what you are is what you are. You can identify as whatever else you want to be, but to sit here and claim that, well, hey, what is actually defined and actually scientifically proven is all just a social construct, and whatever we create after that is actually real. Like that's ridiculous. Okay, again, these types of concepts were created in the kind of leftist academic field. Okay, they have no real grounds in science, no real grounds in reality. They were just created by political activists in order to kind of signify are just a lot of this are just kind of like labels people slapped on themselves in order to define themselves as a revolutionary. Really, that's what it is. Okay, so you sit here and say what LGBTQ, right, which is now 2SLGBTQIAQ whatever, right? Majority of people don't know what that means. Everybody knows what LGBT is. When it comes to QIA plus or the 2S that comes before, no, the average human being doesn't know what the heck that is. Okay, the average American doesn't know what that is unless you live in the terminally online space, right? You also have Rachel Levine, coming out with a new term, egg producers, right? What's her name? Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks is right now feuding with a bunch of socialists because she came out on Twitter and said, "Hey, I don't like the term birthing person. Do not refer to me as a birthing person. Do not refer to me as a uterus haver. I am a woman. We can find different languages that are inclusive, but doesn't demean women like this, right? By referring to us only by our sex organ." Right, leftists of course came after her because they're all socialists, right? When haven't you seen socialists kind of all jump in a firing what's it called, circular firing squad, right? So that's what leftism is, right? Essentially is being a progressive is just a rebranding of being a socialist, and all socialists are just a bunch of wannabe dictators, right? The hungriest socialist becomes the the new leader, the great leader of whatever country that they create. Okay, it's as simple as that. And what they're trying to do here again is just normalizing that type of rhetoric in the mainstream. So when you look at people who are making the argument that pronouns don't matter, it's just a nothing burger, right? Well, tell that to Gina Carano, right? Who was harassed for not putting her pronouns in her Twitter bio. Why did leftists want her to put her pronouns in her Twitter bio? Was because they wanted her to submit and bend the knee and show that she stands with the kind of virtue signaling that by, if you put your pronouns in your bio, you are showing support for trans lives, right? Why? Okay, why is that necessary? You can openly just say that I don't, most people don't have any type of ill will towards anybody just because they disagree with them politically, religiously, or whatever, right? Leftists love to do this thing where they're like, no, you must submit. You must show full compliance with whatever's the next agenda, right? If we say trans lives matter, everybody must put their pronouns in their bio to show that we are all in lockstep. Because again, it is a circular firing squad, right? The first person to to kind of step back and say, "Hold on, I don't agree with this," right? Guess what? You're gonna be the first one to get tossed in the gulag, right? To make it more family friendly here, right? We all know what really happens to these people, but no, all these progressives are supposed to do nothing more than face forward and march in lockstep towards the progressive utopia, right? The first person to turn around and say, or to stop or to turn around, they'll figure out that, hey, guess what? There's a gun pointed at the back of your head. That's, again, every socialist country has ever that's what it's always been. Okay. And so it's no surprise here that, people like Anna Kasparian, again, when she questions the whole rhetoric behind birthing person or uterus haver or everything else, right? She immediately gets gang attacked by all the other socialist leftists who she has, her and her company have brought on multiple times to talk about left-wing issues, right? It's no surprise. Okay. Gina Carano, who didn't subscribe to this belief system, got immediately kicked out of Star Wars, right? Because she decides to push back and says, okay, my pronouns are beep bop boop, right? Screw yourselves. Get out of my face. Get away from me, right? And people then decide to attack her more and more. And then she came out with a tweet saying that, hey, you guys are attacking me, right? I forgot what the actual tweet was that she posted, but it was essentially referring to World War II and saying that, hey, the reason why, essentially it was easy for the party at the time to round up so many people was not because they themselves were going out and arresting people for being Jewish, right? They were able to arrest so many people who were Jewish because the party at the time was able to brainwash their own citizens to making it a kind of sport. It was a game for these individuals, for these German citizens to go out and report people for being Jewish to the government, right? So that's what's the kind of like the message behind her tweet was that, hey, you guys are being essentially brainwashed by these more progressive individuals and are now trying to make it a game, a sport to go out and harass and attack people who are clearly not a part of your party, right? that was the whole message behind her tweet. But of course, leftists love to play ignorance, like the feign ignorance, and claim that, well, clearly Gina Carano was saying some type of anti dis rhetoric, and then she got kicked off of Star Wars, even though her whole entire speech was like, hey, you guys are literally coming after me because you guys hate me. You hate the fact that I'm a part of a different political tribe than you, and that's the only reason why you guys are after me right now. And they kind of just proved their point and said, yeah, they actually just said, yeah, actually we are against you. We hate you because you don't agree with our politics, and we want you gone. Okay, that was really the message. That was really their whole the whole driving force behind them firing Gina Carano. And we see it constantly how they are overtly go after people who clearly don't agree with them. Okay, same thing with Heel versus Babyface. Heel versus Babyface does not agree with the whole idea of pronouns, and he openly says, right, because again, it wasn't just about the pronouns in Starfield. It was about the constant push of Californian style politics that has been being pushed in all sorts of different forms of pop culture throughout this the past few decades or so, right? I'll say probably like the past decade, right, to give a good a good coherent kind of like foundation to this argument, right? So it wasn't just about Starfield. It was about kind of like this was kind of, his rant was kind of like the boiling point, right? The boiling point of the crap that we have been seeing over the past few years, okay? And so I completely agree, right? Again, because if you look outside of Starfield, it's like, yes, what he's complaining about is true. What he's saying that these people are trying to push in modern day in the game has been seen throughout Marvel comic books, DC comic books, right? In video games all around, right? Going back to Saints Row, right? Saints Row was, decided that they wanted to pander to this very small, minuscule of left-wing activists, and their game is now, their game was not bought by anybody, and nobody wanted to buy their game, and now they're going out of business. Okay? Again and again, we are seeing how leftists are overtly trying to push their type of worldview in different forms of media, right? The idea of preferred pronouns is a very left-wing centric talking point, right? Or essentially a kind of only people on the left really talk about preferred pronouns. So when it's no surprise when somebody who knows about the rhetoric, who knows clearly about the type of arguments that leftists like to talk about, right? I myself, right? I'm not a terminally online person. I go out and I actually touch grass. I talk to real people. I talk to regular people, okay? And guess what? When I talk to regular people, these types of rhetorics, these types of conversations do not exist. These types of individuals who identify as all of these, different subsidiary lifestyles, right? They don't exist. I rarely run into these types of people. If I want to run into these types of people, I know exactly where to go because these are the exact same places where I've been before, aka college spaces, where it seems like people are being taught to identify as these types of lifestyles, right? We talked before many times how in schools, right, you have teachers who are overtly trying to teach young kids, minors who are in kindergarten and middle school, who have no idea about the real world, okay? And these teachers are over here trying to tell them about sexuality, about gender pronouns, right? Trying to teach kids that, hey, you can be part of the LGBTQ community or also identify as the intersex, asexual, two-spirited, and all this other crap, right? And they're saying that, well, we're just teaching sex education, right? And if you're a student, right, if you're a student who says, hey, maybe I am one of these different sexualities, right? Well, guess what? These teachers will then encourage you to hide it from your parents. Hide the fact that you are now identifying under these new terms from your parents. And it's disgusting. It's evil, right? Right? I have no hatred or any type of ill will towards people who are part of these types of communities, but I do question when you clearly have teachers who are overtly infiltrating schools and trying to teach these kids all about these new age progressive talking points, and then trying to tell them to hide it from their parents because they know that their parents are going to flip out. They're going to say, no, we don't believe in this type of crap. We don't believe in this type of crap. We don't talk like this. We don't speak like this. Okay. We're not on board with this progressive agenda. And these people know that. And they're overtly trying to find different avenues, different ways to try to normalize these types of conversations, to normalize these types of labels that people are tossing on themselves, right? Because all of it is basically a lot of it, right? Outside of the LGBT, right? All the plus, is all part of the new age social construct, right? Again, it was all based off of feminist theorists claiming that gender roles, gender norms, and all this other crap, right, are social constructs. The LGBT community decided to go a step further to say, well, actually, biological sex is also a social construct. That's where the non-binary and gender fluid became. I think at first it was non-binary and gender fluid became the new terms, right? It became the LGBTQ community. Then you started having more and more people starting to attach newer sexualities to that, and now it is the 2SLGBTQIA plus community, right? Where nobody outside the Terminate Online left actually just talk like this, right? I know about it because I have to. I have to know about the new ever encroaching Orwellian speak, right? Because leftists are openly trying to change the battlefield. I have to know the types of tactics, the type of verbiage that they are using to keep up to date with what they're trying to push, so that I can then say, hey, I'm blowing the whistle. I'm blowing the whistle. Hey, red card on the field. You guys are clearly doing something that's a violation here, right? And so, again, it is the constant normalization of left-wing rhetoric that we have been seeing over and over again being pushed in all forms of media within the pop culture spaces, be it comic books, be it the new people trying to localize manga, right? Because they don't like the fact that the Japanese are saying that, no, we don't care about left-wing American politics. Shut up, consume our content, or get away from us, right? And they're now trying to say, oh, well, we're going to take manga and anime and try to change up the subtitles, change up the voice lines to push left-wing talking points. We've seen that in what was it, Dragon Maid, where they overtly make a jab at Gamergate and all this other crap, right? It's stupid. You're seeing that again in American cartoons, right? In American comic books, right? This overt left-wing rhetoric being pushed everywhere, right? So this again, when it gets to wrap this all up with a bow on top, again, this is all just the constant normalization of left-wing rhetoric that we are seeing, that we have been seeing over the past couple of years now, right? We could probably say 2 decades now because we're almost at that point. But like always, stay safe, stay sane, be vigilant, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you Patriots on the battlefield.